Thank you, Sir Bob. So for this afternoon, preliminaries for our building moral intelligence session with Mr. Man Rentoy. For the house rules, there are a few house rules that we would like to do so that this will be a smooth session for this afternoon. For the webinar duration, so we will endeavor to finish the webinar within the time. However, as there may be technical glitches beyond our control, please anticipate that the session may be extended beyond the time. You are on mute by default. Only the speaker will be speaking during the session. If we ask you to speak for any reason, our moderator host will be able to unmute your microphone. Use of Q&A to ask question. There is a Q&A box. So engage we need to engage with the speaker later on after his session. And please feel free to ask question during the Q&A portion. So selected question will be brought up during the Q&A portion. Speaker can also reply to the Q&A directly on board. You can also use the chat box for introducing your name, your designation, and department upon joining the room. For those who has not done it yet, please kindly put your name, designation, and your department on the chat box. For technical concern on microphone, audio, video, and generic question, and in responding to ask and in responding to question asked by the resource speaker. So we will be using the chat box. So this forum is being recorded. The webinar is currently being recorded and be uploaded on our PWU Facebook. So the copy of the presentation of the speaker will be shared to the email address of all who will be attending for this afternoon session. So that's for our house rules. So for those who are not using the real name, we would like to request also if you can kindly please change your your name, put your real name so that we can recognize you properly. So that's all for the house rule, and we will start now with the Philippine national anthem. For the invocation, the invocation will be led by Professor Jones Claire Baguio from the Office of the Students Affair.
Lord, may everything we do begin with your inspiration and continue with your help, so that all our prayers and works may begin in you and by you be happily ended. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Heavenly Father, source of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we are here gathered together as one PW community. Enlighten our hearts and minds as we deepen our commitment to learn the nature, significance, and value of moral intelligence. Empower us to live with dignity and integrity so that we will be able to act in accordance with the universal human principles and follow our moral compass in making the right judgment, especially during these difficult times of our country and our lives. By doing so, we'll be able to inspire others to enhance their moral intelligence and lead others by example. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and
Amen.
the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
For the opening message, I would like to call on our University President, Mr. Marco Alfredo Benitez.
Thank you, Sarah. Dr. Felina Young, University Chancellor and SPPAA. Dr. Lina Laigo, Director of our Institute for Family Life and Children's Studies. Mr. Manrentoy, our distinguished speaker, dear faculty and administrators, members of the PW community, and all our guests watching over our social media accounts, good afternoon. PW's mission of delivering a holistic education entails not only equipping our students with adequate knowledge and skills for their chosen field of study, but equally important would be forming them as individuals of character and contributing members of society. Our institutional core values of integrity, family solidarity, and community participation are rooted in the development of morally upright individuals. The fourth industrial revolution requires our students not only to be able to think critically, creatively, work well with teams, and show resilience in the face of challenges, but also to be compassionate, understanding, kind, and empathetic of their fellow human beings. This series of talks are aimed to help us as educators, formators, and parents develop moral intelligence or the ability to discern between right and wrong and choose what is right among our students and our own children. Our speaker will be sharing practical tips on how we can inculcate a culture of respect, kindness, and fairness in our classroom and in our homes. Mr. Intoy is an individual whom I have known for many years, and with his credentials, experience, and achievements, is definitely one of the top authorities in the country to share with us his insights on the subject. We are honored that he graciously accepted our invitation given his very busy schedule. During this time of global pandemic, where all our classes and majority of our interactions have been limited to the virtual sphere as a result of social distancing, there is that tendency for relationships to be reduced to transactional interactions and for us to fail to develop authentic human bonds with our students. Indeed, it is quite difficult to do so behind the computer screen. And because of our mad rush to adapt our delivery of education to this new normal, the subtle, minute acts that foster habits and help develop these human virtues can be easily overlooked. At PWU, it is our firm belief that no matter how knowledgeable and well-prepared our students are for their chosen profession as they leave our walls, we would have failed in our mission if we were not able to contribute to their formation as better citizens and ultimately better human beings. I'm happy, therefore, for this initiative by our IFLCS, and I look forward to more talks such as this as we continue on our mission despite the challenges brought about by this pandemic. Thank you, everyone, and may you and your families continue to stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, Sir Marco, for the opening message. And to add on to who will be our resource speaker this afternoon. So he is a Filipino educator based in Sri Lanka. Luckily, he's still here in the Philippines. A lecturer from the University of Asia and the Pacific, and a teacher of Latin and creative writing in Paris Northfield School. He also served as a consultant to various educational institutions around the country, including Bannister Academy in Quezon City and Holy Angel University in Angeles, Pampanga. He is a graduate of the University of Santo Tomas, where he earned a double degree in AB journalism and AB literature, and an MA in creative writing. He is finishing his dissertation for his PhD in literature. He was the founding executive director of Westbridge School in Iloilo. He was the first batch of graduate of Parip Southridge School, where he also taught for 15 years, occupying various posts including principal of intermediate school, vice principal of high school, and department head of religion. As a moderator of The Ridge, the official publication of South Ridge, he won 9 trophies from the Catholic Mass Media Award, including the first ever Hall of Fame for students publication for winning as best campus paper in the country for 4 consecutive years. He is the founding executive director of Character Education Partnership Philippines, or CEP Philippines, an international affiliate of CEP in Washington, D.C., USA. As founder of CEP Philippines, he has been invited to speak all over the country as well as in Washington, D.C., San Diego, California, USA, and in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. He also served as the founding president of Center for Fourth and Fifth RS Asia, otherwise known as the Thomas Licuna Institute for Asia. He is probably the most visible advocate of character formation in the country, having spoken to hundreds of schools and universities around the Philippines. So, teachers, faculties, and staff, without further ado, I'd like to give to you Mr. Emmanuel Man Rentoy.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah. Thank you, Mr.
Welcome,
Marco
sir.
Benitez, for that fantastic introduction. I'm so happy to be with all of you here today. I'm always happy to be with teachers because I've been a teacher for the last 33 years. I actually have not left the classroom until last year when I stopped teaching in the University of Asia and the Pacific to move to Sri Lanka. Of course, when I was invited by Mr. Marco Benitez, I said yes right away because one is because Marco is one of those that Southridge is really very proud of to point to as one of our graduates. I remember working with him on so many projects when he served as student council chairman of Southridge. And of course, his parents, Noel and Susie, were among the most amazing parents I got to work with when I was in Southridge. And I'm so happy to be with you here today, my dear fellow teachers. Although I will be talking about building moral intelligence, I want to first be able to say, teachers, thank you. Thank you very much for forging ahead and still choosing to be teachers, in spite of the fact that while we call this the new normal, there's really nothing normal about what's happening now. There's nothing normal about being locked up in our rooms and not being able to spend time with our students inside the classroom as we have done for many years, for many of you, maybe even for decades. But in spite of these challenges, you chose to continue teaching. You chose to forge ahead. So for that, I have to say, PWU, congratulations, and thank you for the bravery. Thank you for the courage to move forward in spite of what we see in the world today, the crisis that is facing our world today. And I want to start by sharing with you this video as a way of, saying thank you to all of you, dear teachers, for the sacrifices you put in as teachers. This is a video I hope will move your heart. But as I show you this video, it's really all about thank you. Maraming salamat dahil patuloy kayong nagtuturo kahit ganito ang sitwasyon natin ngayon.
Ako po si Jermaine Marie Catag. I'm 30 years old. I have 3 siblings. I'm the eldest. Next is Lynn Grace, 25 years old.
Eli, paunahan ta.
Jerson, 20 years old. Anna Marie, 15 years old.
Please, tama na
My dad passed away 7 years ago. So, breadwinner, sumalo ng posisyon ng tatay ko. But it's okay. I started working. Unang-unang ginawa ko networking. Tapos, on the side, yung events, nag-hosting. Lahat mo ginagawa para lang kumita. Actually, alam nilang lahat. Pagod na rin ako minsan. Hindi ko mag-ibig. I'm just so blessed na sa itsura ko, pag lumabas ako ng kondo ko, I'm a different person. I'm a happy person. Pero wala akong problema. Pero I'm 30 and I'm so tired. Kasi gusto ko din magkaroon ng sarili kong pamilya. I really want to have a baby of my own. Pero minsan you yearn for it. And sometimes gusto ko rin yung ma-feel na yung makapagpahinga ako when I can sleep na wala akong isipin for tomorrow. Kasi sarili ko lang iniisip ko. Alam mo yung ganun. Gusto ko rin maranasan yun na hindi ako ma-stress.
Gusto ko po siya, i-hug, tapos i-kiss pa sa cheeks. Kasi hindi ko po siya na-hug. Tapos gusto ko talaga mag-thank you sa kanya, mag-I love you, ganyan. Kasi hindi po ko nakakapag-I love you sa personal, ganyan po.
Actually po, parang yung I regret my life right now kasi hindi ako nakakatulong sa kanila. Kahit na ako yung nakagraduate, gano'n. Wala akong may natutulong. Kasi may anak na po ako.
Mimi.
Salamat dahil hindi mo kami pinababayaan kahit na alam mo naman na kaya ko sana, pero hindi kinaya.
We're blessed po to have a sister like her.
Thank you kita tanan. Kay tungod sa imo. Tungod sa imo nakapag-skila kami. Kag may balay kita subong. Kung wala ka, base sa kalsada na kami guys. Thank you kita. I love ka. Wala mo kami ginamayaan.
Hindi ako magsisisi every single day of my life to spend something for my family as long as happy sila. Kasi yun yung pinagsisihan ko nung buhay yung dad ko. Hindi ko nagawa yun.
Okay, so that's for all of you teachers. These days, laking pasasalamat natin sa mga frontliners, ano? We give them an applause, we clap for them. Pero parang nakakalimutan ng mga teachers. So kung wala pang nakakapagsabi sa inyo, I have to be the one to say it in behalf of all the Filipino people, teachers, thank you. Thank you na pinagpatuloy ninyo ang pagtuturo. You are now frontliners in this crisis that the world is facing. Kasi alam ko marami sa inyo, let's put it this way, marami sa inyo are technologically challenged, ayan, di ba? Marami sa inyo, itong pagtuturo online is almost a career shift. Pero tinuloy ninyo. You went on with it. So, it's a big sacrifice on the part of many of you. Thank you. Kasi alam ko, hindi madali. Para sa maraming teachers, hindi madali. Itong suddenly, we find ourselves having to come up with lesson plans almost overnight sa internet. Diba? But we did it. And so, as I said, kung kulang man ang pasasalamat ng mga tao para sa inyo, accept my sincerest gratitude. Thank you for being brave enough to forge ahead and to continue teaching. Alam ko marami sa atin, miss nyo na rin ang 2019. Ano? Naalala nyo to? Naalala nyo yan sa Jollibee? Walang problema, no? Kahit magsiksikan tayo sa Jollibee. Uh, or yung ganyan, yung kumain kasamang pamilya natin na walang mga bakanting upuan na kailangang iiwan at mag maglayo-layo. Miss nyo na yan, ano? Yan, miss na rin ng mga bata ito, yung ganyang klaseng so, uh, pero um, hindi naman blessing in disguise itong sabi nung isang politician, ano, blessing in disguise itong pandemya. It's not. All of us are suffering. Students are suffering, teachers are suffering, parents, and many of you are parents are also suffering. Pero let's count our blessing. It's not all bad. Now we don't have to be caught in the theft traffic. Maganda yan, di ba? uh, we escape the traffic of theft. Ayan. Tapos yung mga anak ninyo, walang pasok. Paano ba? Ayan, walang baon. I mean, nakatipid kayo, di ba? Yung mga bata ngayon, ganito ang kanilang sitwasyon. Walang pasok, walang baon. Malungkot sila. Pero you see, let's count our blessings. We also now do not have to deal with the floods of Taft Avenue. Ayan, di ba? Sir, may pasok ba? Meron. Anyway, it's not all that bad. May blessings pa rin. No traffic, no allowance, iwas baha. And more than that, now we have more time than we can ever want or ask for to be with our family. Yan, di ba? More family bonding time, family together. So, family togetherness is something nice. For some students, tuwan-tuwa sila, no? Walang pasok, walang ligo. Hindi na kailangan maligo. Pagharap nila sa camera, konting ayos lang, ganyan. Okay, well, but you decided to teach. So, we need to say thank you. There's this video I found in the internet, which I think it's good to share with you. It's a very beautiful video that talks about you teachers choosing to teach. Okay? So, thank you for everything you do. Alam niyo kung anong nangyayari ngayon sa mga bahay? Di ba ang mga parents ngayon ang nagbabantay sa, sa kanilang mga anak? And when the child starts saying, Nay, hindi naman ganyan yung pagturo sa amin ng teacher namin eh. Ayan. Ibig sabihin, the parents are now realizing how precious you are, how important your work is. In other words, what I'm saying is, now the parents are realizing they cannot replace you, teachers. So, please, wag niyong maliitin ang inyong pagiging teacher. This pandemic is showing everyone how important you are. And the fact that we forged ahead and we continued teaching kahit ganito na ang sitwasyon is just a clear sign the world cannot do away with us. You know what is really happening? People are also realizing, ba't pa ako papasok ng eskwelahan? Lahat ng kailangan kong matutunan nasa internet na. Nasa internet. Everything is there. Pero they need the teachers to guide them, to show them the way. And here's something more. The young people cannot learn character in the internet. They can learn math, they can learn spelling, They can learn how to subtract, divide, multiply, but the internet is not capable of teaching them professionalism, hard work, character, virtues. We adults are the ones who will have to do that. And that's why they need us now more than ever. In fact, now more than ever, because people are seeing how dark the world has become. I think you will agree with me. Ang mga bata ngayon, ibang klase na, no? Minsan, pagpasok ko ng eskwelahan, pagpasok ko ng classroom, parang gusto kong isipin, ibang klaseng hayop na to ang nasa harap ko. The young people today are so different. Research says they are not as kind, respectful, as you and I were when we were younger. The world has become so dark. But because there are teachers, we are there. They can continue learning. And it's not a hopeless case. We precisely, in fact, I would say, we are the hope of the young people. Especially now more than ever, they need us. Kasi, you know this, the world, the young people today, the world is manipulating them to be selfish, self-centered, and vain. I mean, this is the kind of world the young people are growing up in right now. Parang they are being manipulated by the environment to think only for themselves, to think only of themselves. Kaya yung mga estudyante nyo, pipicturean yung spaghetti bago kainin. Kailangan i-announce nila sa buong mundo, ito ang aking merienda ngayon. Ito ang aking I mean, what do I care about your merienda? Do I really need to know that? This is what the researchers call the pageantry of vanity. This is the world the young people are growing up in. They are being manipulated to let the world know what they think, what they feel. I mean, kailangan bang malaman ko, feeling blessed ka today? Di ba ganyan, ano? Kailangan i-announce nila, feeling blessed, feeling happy, feeling sad. What do I care about your feelings? But no, the world is precisely manipulating them to be like that, to be selfish and self-centered and vain. And here's something else. You know, I got my phone, the first phone, when I was already a professional. Nokia 3210. Ang mahal nun. Pero maraming bata ngayon, batang-bata pa lang, may sarili ng phone. And you know this kid, minsan yung phone niya mas sophisticated pa kesa sa phone niyo, no? This kid did not save up from a salary to be able to buy that phone. He did not even miss merienda, as I did. When I was trying to buy my first phone, I had to miss some merienda. I had to save up from allowance, from salary. Itong batang to, walang salary, walang allowance, pero may cellphone. And that world, that kind of world, is manipulating him to develop a very strong sense of entitlement. The parents among you here, you notice, yung anak ninyo uuwi one day. Ma'am, Mami, kailangan ko na ng cellphone. Ako na lang ang wala sa klase. Yan, yung ganyang linya, ako na lang ang wala sa klase. Para bang, I deserve one, I should have one, I have to have one because everybody else has. And then ikaw sasabihin mo, tumahimik ka, grade 1 ka pa lang. Kailangan cellphone. I mean, so that's the kind of world that the young people are growing up today. And they are barraged with, subjected to a barrage of commercials, advertisements that tell them, you should upgrade, you should get the latest, you should have this, you should enjoy this, you should enjoy that. They're almost like manipulated. Okay, so teachers, let's stay calm, let's manage stress, don't be stressed out. One of the topics I had to give the public school teachers is how to precisely calm down and deal with stress. Teachers, wag kang masyadong stressed thinking about, nakikinig kaya itong mga estudyante while I am doing a lecture online? Forget about it. Trust that they're doing their part, okay? Don't stress yourself thinking about these things. Just do what you have to do and what you can do, what you must do. Pag dumating ang estudyante sa inyo, sasabihin, Sir, naputo lang internet namin. Okay, paniwalaan mo na lang. Wag mo na problemahin. In other words, there are things now in our life na hindi mo na kailangan problemahin lahat ng bagay. Let's just stay calm. Sabi nga ni Inday Miriam, kalma lang, te. Kalma lang. Okay, so I've talked about the importance of our role as teachers. I've talked about the kind of world the young people are growing up in. Now we come to the conclusion, now more than ever, character formation is important. It's crucial. We cannot do away with it. And it is what every good teacher does, forming character. You have been hired by PWU not just to teach math, science, and English. Kasama yan, important yan. But more than that, PWU wants you to raise these young people to become smart and good people, smart and good citizens of the Philippines. Hindi lang smart, kasi marami sa kanila pwedeng maging smart just relying on internet. I-google lang nila lahat yung subject mo. Kaya nila matutunan yan. But as I said, but the internet is not capable of teaching them goodness, kindness, character, values. And that's why now more than ever, when they come to our class, online or face-to-face, they are really looking for more than just a subject. They're looking for how to make sense of life, what to do with their life. Aristotle taught, people do not naturally become morally excellent or practically wise. They become so, if at all, only as a result of lifelong personal and community effort. And so, my dear fellow teachers, my dear teachers of PWU, I hope our session today and tomorrow will at least the least that I want from you to commit yourself. I am not just going to be a subject teacher. I'm going to be a teacher of students, raising up young people to be smart and good and kind and men and women of character. Here are some principles in Character Education Partnership Philippines and the Center for the Fourth and Fifth Hours. And I personally, as a teacher in my 33 years inside the classroom, here are the principles I have embraced as an educator. Number one, character formation is not just another subject. Maraming tao natuwa kasi binalik ng DepEd ang GMRC. Nice. Okay. But more than that, what I want to remind every teacher is, isn't that what we are supposed to be doing by teaching math well, by teaching science well? We are also teaching them good manners, right conduct. That's what all of us good educators do. We don't just teach a subject, we form minds and mold characters. It is what every good educator tries to do. And here's the next principle. My dear fellow teachers, the only effective way to teach character is through the example of our life. Gusto niyong matutunan ng mga bata, ng mga college students niyo, professionalism so that they do well as professionals? Well, show them with your life, with your example, professionalism. In the way we start our class on time every single day, in the way we prepare very well for every class. We will teach them kindness in the way we show kindness to them. We teach them respect in the way we respect them. We teach them responsibility in the way we do our work responsibly. Every single time that we are with them, every opportunity that we can have to teach them with our example, with our life. So, today, the seminar hopes to be able to convince you, let's stop teaching subjects. and really start teaching students. I know many of you have already been doing this, and so, well, I want to share this video with you as a way of expressing that gratitude. I've done it already earlier, but I think it's but proper that we really express this gratitude to all of you.
I am who I am.
I am who I am.
I am who I am.
I am who I am because I had a great teacher.
A great teacher is a work of art.
A great teacher is a key to success.
A great teacher can change a life.
A great teacher changed my life.
Linda Bodie.
Hunter Frost.
Mr. Isaacson.
Mr. Cohn.
I learned that I didn't need to be like everybody else.
I learned that everything is possible.
I learned not to sweat the small stuff.
I learned that you can approach knowledge with a sense of wonder and fun.
I didn't learn how to speak Spanish, even though she was my Spanish teacher, but I did learn how to be myself.
Mr. Isaacson, it's been a long time, but thank you.
Emily Darcy, Craig Smith, thank you very much.
Thank you, Hunter Frost.
Mr. Class, I thank you.
Charlotte Pace, thank you.
To each and every one of my teachers, thank you.
Muchas gracias, Señora Flower. Te amo.
And many of us have many teachers we want to thank. Here's something curious. Here's something amusing. Some of us will not even remember the subject they taught. That's true. Alumni homecoming. Magbabalikan yung mga alumni. And some of them are going to look for you. They will ask around, andito pa ba si Ma'am so-and-so? Andito pa ba si Mr. so-and-so? Because they want to look for you, shake your hand, and look at you straight in the eye and be able to tell you, Ma'am, sir, thank you very much. I am who I am because of you. And then, alam mo kung anong gagawin mo? Sasabihin mo, ay, ito naman, sino ka nga ba, iho? Ano nga bang pangalan mo? We don't remember them, but they cannot forget us. They have never forgotten us. And here's something curious, something amusing. I've experienced this. I attend so many alumni homecomings. Minsan, meron kang estudyante, babalik, they want to shake your hand, look you straight in the eyes, and be able to thank you. Sir, thank you very much. I am who I am because of you. They will not say it that way, but that is a message. And then here's what they will say. Sir, ano nga bang subject ang tinuro nyo sa amin? I've experienced that so many times. In fact, sometimes they will ask, Sir, did you even handle us in any class? They don't remember. They only remember that they made a difference in your life, that you made a difference in their life. So, my dear fellow teachers, I hope you get that principle very clearly in your mind. Let's stop teaching subjects and start teaching young people, children, raising them up to be good men and women of character. Because character is destiny. I want to share with you this very interesting study, a book, a research, which was published as a book made by the Oliner couple, The Altruistic Personality. And what they did was simply to interview hundreds of people who saved Jews during the Holocaust. They interviewed hundreds of them. And you know what all of them said when they were asked, why did you save the Jews? Why did you save lives? And this is what they discovered. All of them said, we rescued them from the Nazis because that was how we were raised. Because that's what our parents taught us. That's what our teachers taught us, that you help those who are in need. So you see how important character is. It can be a matter of life and death. And that's why more than teaching subjects, giving them character is very important. Psychiatrist Frank Pittman says, the stability of our lives depends upon character. Character, not passion, keeps marriages together. And this is one of those sad things happening in the world today. Many families are breaking apart, many marriages are failing. Well, Frank Pittman says, it's character that will save marriages, not passion. And character enables people to survive, to endure, to transcend misfortunes. Even if ganito na ang mundo ng ating mga kabataan. Even if the world is training them to be selfish, self-centered, vain, like as if they are the center of the universe. Let's face it, may crisis in society today. There is rise in cases of suicide. We read about this. I have to qualify that. Rise in teen suicide cases. Teenagers. Bakit gano'n ang mga kabataan ngayon? Konting problema sa love life, gusto nang magpakamatay. I mean, what is this? What is happening? I mean, that is absence of character. Youth homicide. You read about this news. 6-year-old killed his 3-year-old brother with the help of her 5-year-old friend. Or this other news. 6-year-old boy killed his grade 1 classmate with a 32 semi-automatic. And then the bullying that happens in many places today. In the US, 160,000 students miss school each day for fear of being bullied. And then, nandyan pa yung substance abuse among kids. Among kids, yung teenagers, matagal na yun. Lumang balita na yun. Now, we can be hearing of news of substance abuse even among kids. And then, sabi ko nga kanina, sabi ng research, the young people today are not as kind, respectful as you and I were when we were younger. And then nandyan ang widespread cheating and dishonesty. Di ba? Magsasubmit ng assignment yan, cut and paste from Wikipedia. And they will not say it's cheating, they will say it's resourcefulness. Yan. And then they bring that to their professional life. And then there's increase of vulgarity, yung use of foul language, bad words. And then there's alcohol use. May mga kilala ko mga teenagers, no? Pagka nagpunta sila sa party before the pandemic, pag nagpunta ng party, kailangan to get tipsy. If they don't get tipsy, boring ang party. Lipat na lang tayo ulit. That's why I don't understand this practice in many schools now. Meron ka nang prom, meron ka pang post-prom party. Ay, ba't kailangan may post-prom party pa? Party na yung prom ah. Kasi yung prom, official school activity, bawal ang alcohol. We have to go to another party where there is alcohol. Okay. So, that's the kind of, lifestyle. Hyperactivity and attention deficits increased 700% in the last 2 decades. And then every now and then in the US, we hear about campus shootings. Ayan, di ba? Now, in many places, ano ang response ng eskwelahan? Ang eskwelahan sasabihin, ay, kailangan maglagay tayo ng metal detectors. Ayan. In many schools in the US, ganyan na, no? Papasok ang bata, dadaan sa metal detector. O kaya, ay, maglagay tayo ng mga CCTV. Habulin natin yung mga bullies along the corridor, the stealing of cell phones. Sadly, for some families, homeschooling option is becoming a real alternative. But you know, these things are not going to solve the problem. Metal detectors will not solve the problem. Installation of sophisticated CCTVs will not solve the problem. In the end, the key solution is what we're talking about today. Character formation, moral literacy. If you want, we call it moral intelligence. Because the author of our main source today, Dr. Michelle Borba, has this to say: enhancing moral intelligence is our best hope to get the young people on the right course so that they act and think right. there are many people all over the world who are trying to address the crisis in character. Meron itong The Virtues Project. I mean, if you Google this, ang daming lalabas dyan. Ano? Character program. Ayan. Meron yung character counts, which is also very nice, no? Kasi meron silang, ayan, itong core values nila. Terrific. Trust, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, citizenship. So, yun lang yung kanilang pinupush. And then, meron din yung William Bennett book, The Book of Virtues. Very nice. Okay. Well, in the Philippines, this is what prompted me to bring here an international organization based in Washington, D.C., the Character Education Partnership. And then they gave me the franchise to set up Character Education Partnership Philippines. And one of the founders there, I got to meet, and he also gave me the franchise to start in Asia, the Center for the Fourth and Fifth R's. The fourth and fifth R's stand for respect and responsibility. So the principle is every human being, aside from knowing reading, writing, arithmetic, should have respect and responsibility. The fourth and fifth R's. So Michelle Borba, our author, says the first step in teaching moral intelligence is by being a moral example. Okay, so this is now our main topic, building moral intelligence based on this book of Dr. Borba. I brought her to the Philippines 4 times already to give seminars, and the 7 essential virtues that teach kids to do the right thing. And our seminar is really all strategies, how to develop empathy, temperance, fairness, conscience, altruism, moral courage, integrity, the 7 essential virtues. I'll already give them to you right away. At the core are the 3 core values. She calls them the core virtues, from which the other virtues will follow: empathy, conscience, self-control. O nga naman, ano? Ang batang walang konsyensya, you don't expect that person to be truthful, to be respectful. Ang batang walang self-control, wala tayong walang temperance, walang strength of character, walang doing the right thing even if it is tough. Yan. Walang empathy, then he will not be able to know how to deal with other people. And then the remaining 4 are respect, kindness, tolerance, and fairness. These, according to Dr. Borba, are the 7 essential virtues that we should develop among the young people, if they are to grow in their moral intelligence. Okay, before I get into those 7 virtues, immediately Michelle Borba gives these 10 tips for raising moral kids. Tip number 1, commit to raising a moral child, because research says ang mga magulang who feel strongly about their children turning out morally usually succeed because they committed themselves to that effort. And the same research also says teachers who feel strongly about their students turning out morally usually succeed because they committed themselves to that effort. So let's commit ourselves to it. If you really want to raise a moral child, then make a personal commitment to raise one, and do not stop until he does. Tip number 2, and we've already given it, and I have to tell you this idea of if we want to teach character, we have to model it, we have to show it by example. It's going to come out again and again throughout this seminar and tomorrow. Each day, dear fellow teachers, ask yourself, if my student had only my behavior to watch, what example would he catch? And for parents among you, ask yourself every day this question, especially now that the young people are with you the whole day inside the house. If my son, my daughter, had only my behavior to watch, what example would he catch? Tip number 3, Know your beliefs and share them. Share them, don't lose by default. Believe it or not, the opposite of your values. Those are the things they hear in music, in MTVs, in movies, in teleseries, in TV shows. They hear the opposite of what you value from out there. And that's why it's important now more than ever. They need you, they need us. I will show you a video later on what the world would be without teachers. Number 4, use teachable moments. And yes, even online, those are all teachable moments. In fact, the fact that you teachers decided to continue to teach, you're teaching them resilience. You're showing the young people, not with your words, but with your example, that pandemic is not an excuse for us to stop moving forward. You're teaching them strength of character. You're not giving up. Some of you are having a tough time with Zoom, with Google Meet, with internet, but you are trying your best. You still continue on. You're teaching them resilience, strength of character, fortitude. You're telling them, don't just easily give up just because there are challenges. Number 5, use discipline as a moral lesson. Instead of going around, you're suspended, you're detained, you serve detention. No, we are, if we, for example, catch a young person doing something wrong, if we ask him the question, how would you like it if that is done to you? That's making the disciplining as a moral lesson. You are teaching the person something moral, something that he should be doing, the right thing he should be choosing, instead of just simply punishing or sanctioning. Number 6, expect moral behavior. And this is for those of us who've had very good teachers of character in the past. Think about it. Di ba naalala ninyo? Kilala natin ang ibang teachers for having high moral standards. That si ma'am yan, ina-expect niya lagi kami na to be kind, to be truthful, to be honest, to be sincere. Never mind kung 80 lang ang grade mo. Basta for ma'am, the important thing is we did our best. We worked hard. We were honest. We didn't cheat. That becomes our parang personality. Ganun tayo makikilala ng mga estudyante. That they always know we expect moral behavior at all times. Here's another one. Sabi ng research, alam nyo, ang isang problema ng mga kabataan ngayon is they are poor in reflections. They don't do much reflecting anymore these days. O nga naman, kasi marami kang estudyante, the whole day, may earphones, music. Matutulog yan, naka-earphones pa rin. Paano na yung silence where you can reflect and think about your life and think about kamusta ang ginawa ko today. So, teachers, any exercise that you give the students that will make them reflect is a very good exercise. Make them reflect on the effect of their behavior, of their actions. And then, number 8, reinforce moral behavior. Sa bahay, wag laging mali lang ang hinahanap ninyo sa mga bata, sa anak ninyo. Sometimes, they are also doing good. Pansinin nyo rin yung mga tamang ginagawa nila. That's how we reinforce moral behavior. And I've met teenagers like that who come to me, Mr. Rentoy, alam mo, ang problema sa bahay namin, wala nang nakita ang nanay ko kundi mali. I've heard teenagers complain like that. Para bang wala nang nakita sa akin ang nanay ko, ang tatay ko kundi mali. If I do something wrong, isang linggo yan, sir. Isang linggo, pag-uusapan nila yan over the dining table. Pero gumawa ako ng isang tama, wala kang maririnig, sir. It's very sad, no? When you have situations like that. But This is number 8 tip from Michelle Borba. Number 9, prioritize morals daily. The young people should know us to be like that. Na as far as we are concerned, our top priority is morals. And then number 10, the golden rule. Do unto others what you would want others do unto you. Or the negative form of that, do not do unto others what you don't want others do unto you. Let's continue talking about this. It continues being relevant. So, pag-usapan ninyo sa mga estudyante ninyo, class, how would you feel if you're the teacher and you're lecturing and the students are not listening? How would you feel? So, please, don't do to me what you would not want others do unto you. So, we incorporate the golden rule. In fact, when I give the session on classroom management, minsan I joke about it. Class, there is only one rule in our class. It's the golden rule. And you will have a very good classroom management if you're able to implement that one and only one rule, the golden rule. Without morals, the young do not learn how to deal with others correctly and appropriately. Okay, teachers, I've been talking for almost an hour. This is what I will do. I'm going to show you 2 videos, one after another. But for some, this might be the best time for you if you want to go on a toilet break, a washroom break, or get water, or get coffee if you're already beginning to feel sleepy with me. I'm going to share 2 videos with you to give a chance to those who really need to go to the washroom or to get water. But at the same time, those of you who want to stay on, these are very motivating, fantastic videos.
What would life be like without teachers?
Wow.
Sorry, I'm gonna need.
Yeah, take your time.
Life would.
Life wouldn't be the same, actually. Teachers are the people that tell us to move forward, to teach us education that's very important. Yeah, you could learn stuff from the streets, but you won't know what's right or wrong.
There would not be a guide for success. It would just be us running around trying to find it.
Probably be terrible because nobody would learn.
I think life would be pretty bland because teachers are the ones that, they teach us new things. They give us opportunities to find things out ourselves that we don't understand or don't know yet.
Nobody would be very smart. There'd be a lot of world problems because people would not know what to do.
I don't know how I would get through my day without teachers.
We wouldn't learn anything. We would be making the same mistakes over and over and over again.
Public education provides, it provides everybody with a chance, a fair shot to get what they need to succeed in life.
I feel like life wouldn't be fair for people who may not have the best deck of cards in life.
I wouldn't know discipline, I wouldn't know responsibility, I wouldn't know how to think and how to critically think and how to be me. I feel like there would be a decrease in a lot of dreamers, as in they don't know what they want to do with their lives.
Teachers, honestly, they're amazing people. They dedicate their lives to teaching and just loving and inspiring kids to be whatever they want to be.
Without teachers, we'd lose our opportunities for leadership. Many people don't have someone at home that they can see as a leader, and teachers every day usually strive to become the leaders that are needed in our lives.
I've had teachers who tell me to chase my dreams, follow my dreams, find my passions and dig deep into them. And that definitely has affected me as a student.
A life without teachers would be meaningless to me because teachers have crafted me into the person that I am today.
So I did not like school. I'll be honest with you, school was not for me. I skipped, I walked out, I tried to miss school each time. But there's some teachers that kind of make you come to school because it just brightens your day and makes it positive. So sometimes you really do. The only reason you come to school is just to see that teacher.
Miss Bowling, my drill team director, has pushed me every day to do what I love and to be the person that I am today.
Honestly, it's Miss Willems.
Miss McCarty.
Miss Waller, my 11th grade AP US History teacher. 7th and 8th grade English teacher, Miss Bradley.
My favorite teacher is Miss Jerkins.
His name is Mr. Staten.
Miss Cummings, she's the special education teacher.
A teacher who motivates me a lot is Miss Beal.
My 10th grade chemistry teacher, Mr. Brian Dallek.
Miss Smith, she's a 9th grade biology teacher.
Miss Levino is my favorite teacher because she motivates me to do my best every day. She makes me laugh all day, and she's just the best teacher of all times.
She's super passionate and she loves her subject.
But it's really just because her passion and her interest.
Her passion for special needs kids has really pushed me to want to major in special education when I'm in college.
In her class, she empowered us to question things, to explore the unknown.
Miss Barth has changed my life because she's taught me how to be a better person.
I can tell you get emotional. Is it because she's made a big impact on your life?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I want to give a thanks to Miss Payne because without her, I couldn't decide what I was going to do with my life. I want to thank her a lot because I'm going to be the first person from my whole family to go to college. And I set my mind, and I'm going to do that goal. So I want to thank you, Miss Payne.
Okay, so thank you again, dear teachers. Now we're ready to get into the 7 essential virtues. Okay, the 7 essential virtues to be able to build the moral intelligence of the young people. Let's start with the very first one, which Dr. Borba said is at the root. The failure in this virtue is at the root of many problems we see today among the young people. She spent 10 years, Dr. Barba spent 10 years studying empathy, going around the world, visiting schools. How are you teaching empathy to students, to your children, to the young people? And then she came up with a book entitled Unselfie. Pero ito nga yung kanyang unang nakita, Crisis in Empathy. O nga naman, kasi yung mga bata, if the whole day, the young kid today is just with his gadget, the cell phone, the tablet, or the screen of the TV, not dealing with other children, they don't know anymore. Many young people today don't know anymore how to deal with other people, to feel for other people. And that's why nakita niya, this digital generation, one of the biggest problems is the death of empathy, which she defined as identifying with and feeling other people's concerns. Here are the 6 factors, sabi niya, why may crisis in the development of empathy. Number 1, many parents are not available. This is true. Kasi now, more than ever, we have ang lakas kasi ng pressure for the parents to provide for their children, di ba? Para bang pag walang cellphone ang bata, mahirap kami. Yung ganong mentality. O kaya ang TV namin, 12 inches lang. Mahirap kami. That's the mentality. So now the parents are pressured to have a 32-inch, 64-inch TV, 80-inch TV. Hindi pwedeng black and white, kailangan HD TV, full HD TV. So that is prompting many parents to be busier than ever, trying to make more. And many of them end up being unavailable. And that brings about the crisis in empathy. It's one of the factors. Number two, huge classrooms. And this is happening all over the world, in the Philippines especially, where in public schools, minsan, I was shocked. Sabi ng estudyante sa akin, I had a student in UANP. Sabi niya sa akin, Sir, yung high school namin, 100 kami sa classroom. Wow, 100. Paano magkakaroon ng recitation ang 100? Paano magkakaroon ng group work, group project, reporting? So, this is happening. And in a huge classroom like that, the teacher may not be able to have personal dealings with every single one. And there goes our opportunity to teach them empathy. Here's number three. According to the research of Dr. Borba, in many places, absence of supportive fathers is a factor that's contributing to the crisis in empathy. Number four, yung mga napapanood ng mga bata sa internet, sa Netflix, cruel media images. There was a time Facebook allowed showing or being passed around videos ng ISIS beheading. My gosh, young people could be watching a human being really being killed in front of their very eyes in a cruel video image, media image that they are subjected to. And then you go to the cartoons, the kind of cartoons that the young people watch today. There are many cruel images there. Number five, we have come to this kind of generation now where boys are raised to mask their feelings. Yung bang, oh, lalaki ka, wag kang iiyak. That kind of mindset then prevents young people, especially the boys, to have emotions. I mean, to show emotions. And that makes it difficult for them to develop empathy. And number six, abuse in the cradle. So, Michelle Borba saw this as 6 main factors for the crisis in empathy among the young people. Here are signs of empathy. If your students show these signs, if your child shows these signs, very good. What people with empathy say, you look upset. That's empathy. I understand how you feel. I'm sad that you got hurt. That happened to me too once. It makes me feel sad for you. That's empathy. My heart is racing. I feel like I want to. Sharing joy. I'm happy for you. I bet it hurts a lot. It happened to me. So these are all words or what people with empathy would say. And then here are what people with empathy would do. They notice when people are hurting and they feel for them. They tear up when they see someone crying. That's empathy. They walk up to console another person in pain. They comfort another because they understand the person's hurt. They feel excited for others when they win. They wins when they see the hero hurt at the movies. They talk soothingly to those in pain. And then they mirror the facial expressions of the distressed person. So ito ang mga signs that a person has empathy. Well, I'm not going to take this quiz with you right now because I hope to be able to cover at least the first three essential virtues today. But you will be told where to download this whole presentation. And I encourage you to try to take this quiz. This quiz that will determine, this test that will determine ang inyo bang anak o ang inyo bang estudyante has empathy. Yan. Where you're going to be given questions or descriptions, and then sasagutin nyo always, frequently, sometimes, rarely, or never. Yan. Questions like, a child with healthy empathy is socially sensitive, has a lot of feelings for others. Does your child have that? Show sensitivity towards the needs and feelings of others. Does your child show that? Always, 5, frequently, 4, sometimes 3, rarely 2, and never 1, etc. So you give scoring and then you total it, and then ito ang ibig sabihin ng score. Pag ang score niya is 40 to 50, congratulations. Your child or your student has empathy. Pero kung nandito siya sa 10 to 20 points lang ang kanyang nakuha, that's a potential danger even. Okay? So, I encourage you to do the test for your child or for your students. Here are 3 steps that we are going to take to develop empathy. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay? Umpisahan natin sa step 1. How can I raise my child, or how can I make my student grow in empathy? So, yung step 1 natin is foster awareness and build an emotional vocabulary. Awareness muna. Make them aware of what it means to be empathetic. And then, to build their emotional vocabulary. And you will be amazed. I'm going to show you later some vocabulary enriching slides. You will be amazed. Ganun pala karami ang emotions. How many of them does my child or does my student, or do we understand or do we use? Okay, fostering awareness means being able to listen with empathy. Michelle Borba gives this immediately. Talk. Tune in to your students' feelings and listen with empathy. Acknowledge what is causing the emotion. Label how the child, the student, the person is feeling. And then kindle a resolution for the child's need. Talk. T-A-L-K. That is how to listen with empathy. So I'll show you, for example, a list of vocabulary words that express emotion. The more of these we know, that means our vocabulary for emotions is very rich. Well, let's zoom in. You look at this under letter A: afraid, agitated, alarmed, angry, antsy, anxious, apprehensive, ashamed, awful. Under letter C: confused, content, critical, cross, curious, cynical. Under letter D: depressed, delighted, disappointed. Then let's go to the other side of the dictionary. Letter B: bashful, bewildered, bitter, bored, brave. The more words the young person knows of these emotions, then the more empathetic he or she will be. Ganon din sa atin as teachers. Are we able to determine ano kaya ang nararamdaman ng aking estudyante when I look at them? Is he down? Is he eager? Is he edgy? Is he embarrassed? Is he encouraged? Because when we have more words, vocabulary of emotions, and we are able to determine all these, we're able to sense all of them. That's a clear sign we have a very deep sense of empathy. Pero may mga tao, they don't know ano ibig sabihin nito. Does my student look embarrassed? Wala silang concept ng being embarrassed. Kaya minsan, May mga teachers kang ganyan. Papahiyain ang estudyante sa harap ng klase. And they think they're doing a great job. Kasi may mga ganyan akong kilalang teacher. May ganyan akong minsan kilalang teacher na they shout, they scream, and they yell. And they think na the more mapahiya ang bata, the more disciplined he will become. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Yung bata napahiya, then he will become more disciplined? No, he will just become more resentful. Ayan. Revengeful. Looking for a way to get back at the teacher. So, it's good for us to have a rich vocabulary of emotions so that we are able to determine ano kaya ang nararamdaman ng aking mga estudyante. We're not even done yet. I'll continue on with some more. Embarrassed, encouraged, enraged. Hindi natin alam, galit na pala ang estudyante. I'll tell you a story. I'll share this with you. I spent 4 years in Iloilo City. I set up a school there called Westbridge School. But before I got to set up Westbridge, I was teaching in a Chinese school. It was the alma mater of Jose Marie Chan, Mr. Christmas. I ended up there. That was my first job when I moved to Iloilo in 1991. And then I was a substitute teacher. While I was teaching there, may kwento sa kabilang kwarto, sa kabilang classroom. Isang teacher na galit sa isang bata. Ang ginawa niya, pinatayo niya yung estudyante sa harap ng klase. Tapos yung buong class, pinapila niya. Because he asked everyone in the class to hit his hand with the ruler. Yan. Pumila yung bata, yung mga classmates. Tapos isa-isa sila hahampasin yung kamay ng bata with the ruler. Okay? As a punishment. Kasi galit na galit yung teacher dito sa batang to. Maingay, magulo. Yung mga ibang classmates, naawa. Kunyari, lalakasan, pero mahina lang pala yung paghampas. And then tawanan niyo yung class. Yung ibang mga babaeng classmates, talagang naawa. Kaya very slight na lang ang paghampas. Yung ibang lalaki ay talagang hinampas ng malakas at tawanan ang buong class. Okay, the following day, for some reason, the student was there inside the classroom. Napansin ng classmates niya. Palipat-lipat siya ng upuan. The hair was parang hindi siya naligo. In fact, parang nangangamoy. Parang talagang hindi naligo. And pinagpapawisan. And palipat-lipat ng silya. One of the classmates happened to look at his bag. And he opened it. And there was a grenade there. And this boy, grade 6, who was embarrassed and put to shame the day before, that was what he was planning to do that day. Papasabugin niya ang granada para buong klase patay. But because nahuli, nakita yung granada, so he was kicked out of the... So, itong prinsipyo, yung idea na the more mapahiya ang bata, the more disciplined he will become. Hindi totoo yan. That's not true. Okay? The boy is just going to be full of resentment and looking for a way to get back. If the teacher has more empathy and was able to read through the emotions of this boy, he would not have done that. The boy was kicked out, but me personally, the first thing the school should have done is to kick out the teacher, because no one should ever do something like that to anybody. I'm not done yet with the vocabulary. Look at under letter I: impatient, indifferent, inferior, insecure, intense, irate, irked, irritated. P: panicky, patient, pessimistic, pleased, proud, puzzled. And then under R: rejected, reluctant, resentful, restless, ridiculous, riled, rushed. So all these and many more: sad, safe, scared, secure, sensitive, shaky, shocked, shy, silly, sleepy, sorry. The richer their vocabulary for emotions, the bigger the chance that they will have empathy, the better chance they have of being able to feel for others, to be sensitive to the feelings of other people. Okay, so that's step one. Raise awareness and build their vocabulary if we want them to develop empathy. Step number two, enhance sensitivity to the feelings of others. Let's make them more sensitive to the feelings of others. Here, according to Michelle Borba, are 6 simple ways to be able to nurture the kids' sensitivity. She traveled around the world visiting schools, interviewing educators. How do you gain, how do you help the students grow in their sensitivity? And here are 6 samples that she found to be very useful. Number one, praise sensitive, kind actions. So kasama to sa kanyang 10 tips kanina, no? Reinforce moral behavior. So, wag tayong parang laging naghahanap lang ng mali na ginagawa ng mga bata. Let's praise sensitive, kind actions. Then they will be more sensitive next time around. Number two, show them the effect of sensitivity. That when we are sensitive to the feelings of others, you see, because we know how the person feels, natulungan natin siya. Especially now when we are talking of more and more, we hear of teen suicide. Okay, teen suicide. Young people going through depression. And how helpful a kind word can be. For someone who's going through depression, a smile, a little smile may mean the a big difference and may convince the person not to be depressed or not to even entertain thoughts of suicide. Number three, draw attention to nonverbal feeling cues because actions speak more loudly than words. I'm going to give you later an exercise in that one. In fact, a strategy on how to read nonverbal feeling cues. Number four, ask often, how does he feel? You see, that sensitivity. Make your students, make your children, the young people, reflect and ask questions often. How do you think he feels given this situation? Bumagsak yung isang classmate mo. How do you think he feels? What can you do? Anong pwedeng tulong ang pwede mong maibigay? Maybe the simple tulong is don't laugh at the person. I mean, don't laugh at the low grade of that other person. And then even to reach out and to say, you need help? Kailangan mo ng tulong? Aral tayo? Sabay? Okay. Every feeling usually is because of a certain need. Feeling sad, there is a need there to be encouraged, to be motivated, to be given a bit of joy. Feeling happy, there is a need there. The person wants to share that joy. So there is always that formula of feeling is always accompanied by a certain need. And then share why you feel the way you do. And this brings me to the idea, my dear fellow teachers, some of you siguro nahirapan with this setup of online learning, internet connectivity. Please do not be afraid to share that feeling with your students. Share with them your feelings na you are worried that some of your students may actually not be as attentive. Kasi ganun ang mga bata ngayon. Naka-Zoom ka, naka-Google Classroom ka, pero nakabukas din yung Facebook, nakabukas din yung Netflix, nakabukas din yung NBA.com. Share that apprehension that you have with them. Let them know how you feel. Don't be afraid to share it with them and then to tell them, I really just want the best for you. I want you to learn this lesson even if we are in this situation. And in that way, you're also helping them grow in their empathy. 9 factors that favor the development of empathy according to research: age, gender, intelligence, emotional understanding, empathetic parents, emotional security, temperament, similarity, and attachment. Those are 9 factors that favor the development of empathy. Let's move on. 5 fun ways to help kids read nonverbal emotions. 5 exercises, strategies, tactics that you can use para turuan ng mga bata to read nonverbal emotions. For example, play feeling charades. Yung kaninang vocabulary that I showed you, the long list of emotions, doon, pili ka doon, and then let them play, the game charades. Let them act out. They're not supposed to open their mouth. They're not supposed to say a word, but just acting out the emotion. Let the people guess kung ano yung kanyang ina-act out. That's a good way of developing being able to read nonverbal emotions, or make comic mood characters. For example, let them make cutouts of as many emotions from the vocabulary that I showed you earlier to cut out from cartoons, um, sadness, one cartoon that depicts that, excitement, what one cartoon that depicts that, etc. So in that way, they start now looking for those emotions being projected or being displayed in some cartoon characters or comic characters. To read with feelings, yan. Even among adults, this is an interesting, funny exercise. To read Jack and the Beanstalk with fear, yan. Or to read Jack and the Beanstalk with excitement or with sadness. So to read with feelings makes them sensitive to these different feelings. Here's another exercise: watching silent TV. Turn off, show a movie, turn off the sound, and then you make the students describe what do you think is the feeling of that character now. Ano kaya ang nararamdaman nitong isang character na to? How do you describe that other character's feelings? So that's watching silent TV or holding a feeling lookout. This is especially doable when you're inside a classroom. Someday we will be back inside the classroom with our students. And then you make them go to the window and then describe people who are passing by. Tapos sasabihin nyo, look at that person in red t-shirt. Ano sa palagay ninyo ang kanyang nararamdaman ngayong araw na to? Is he excited? Is he afraid? Is he apprehensive? How would you describe, do you think, with the looks on his face, with how he walks, yung feeling niya? So these are all exercises that develop among the young people being able to read nonverbal emotions. Okay, now let's go to step 3. Step 3 on how to develop empathy among the young people. Step 3 is develop empathy for another person's point of view. Okay, this is step 3. Well, Martin Hoffman's stages of emphatic development. Number 1, in the first year of life, the so-called global empathy. Number 2 stage, second stage, the egocentric empathy. It usually starts around 1 year old, no? Self-centered. If they don't get what they want, they resort to tantrums or crying. Yan, very egocentric. Number 3, emotional empathy. Early preschool years, the person starts actually being able to see other people's feelings. Nagkakaroon ng emotional empathy. Number 4, cognitive empathy. This is around elementary years, beginning around 6, when it's not just about emotion, they start cognitively. They start thinking of how others may actually be feeling. And number 5, late childhood, ages 10 to 12, abstract empathy. They can actually picture in their mind in an abstract way what sadness means, what joy means, what etc. And the rest of them we develop as we mature. And the earlier we're able to get a child, a person to reach that 5th stage, we can say the earlier he has become mature. Okay, let's go to 3 simple ways to increase children's ability to take different perspectives. Perspective taking is one, in fact, sign of maturity. Ibig sabihin, if the child is able to put himself in the shoes of others, kung kaya niyang tingnan ang mga bagay sa mundo from the point of view of another person, maturity, empathy has set in. So here is one simple way. Switch roles to feel the other side. Okay, so you make them act out, let's say a scene, and then tatanungin nyo later on, how do you think the other felt when you said this line? How do you think the other should feel? So the switching of roles, putting oneself in the shoes of the other, the emotion of the other. Walk in my shoes, in fact, is a very good experience, a very good exercise that we do when we make the students do reporting. Instead of just report about the views of Aristotle, you tell the person, you're going to deliver a lecture like as if you are Aristotle. You are Plato. You are that historical character that you are reporting about. And then imagine how the person feels. Classroom discipline that builds empathy. Call attention to insensitive, uncaring behavior. Ask, how would you feel? R, recognize the consequences of the behavior. And E, express and explain your disapproval of the insensitive action. Okay? I'm going to show you a video now just to rest a bit from pure lecture. Oops, sorry.
So what happened with this show is I was a newswoman for many years, and an odd one in that I would never read the copy ahead of time. Never read the copy ahead of time because I wanted to get the news and everybody else was. And I really believe in being spontaneous. And so I had not read the copy here in the prompter and didn't feel that I needed to read the background for this particular show because I know it was going to be my teacher, Mrs. Duncan. I'd like to tell you about my favorite teacher. When I was in the 4th grade, I ran home the first day of the 4th grade to tell my dad that I had the best teacher anybody could ever have. Her name was Mrs. Duncan. And during the 4th grade, I wanted to be a 4th grade teacher because of Mrs. Duncan. And I haven't seen Mrs. Duncan since then, and Mrs. Duncan is here today. Mary Duncan. I go to read the prompter, and it said her name was Mary, and I lost it. I lost it because I thought her name was Mary? That means her name was Mary Duncan? That means she was a person, and it was And the prompter talked about how she was married Duncan and she had children and it was a reality check for me in that my teacher, this teacher who was not even on a pedestal, it was like I idolized. Mrs. Duncan was a real person. It was Mrs. Duncan come to life as a real person. Mary Duncan, mother of, wife of, sister to, she's a real person. Do you remember, you know why I loved you so much? Because you always let me lead devotion.
Bless your heart.
And we'd have graham crackers, and Mrs. Duncan would let me lead. I can't believe I'm crying like this, but Mrs. Duncan would let me lead devotion. I remember when I was going to be a missionary and I used to collect money on the playground.
I do remember. You were just ideal. Such an ideal student.
Oh, was I?
Oh, my goodness, yes, yes.
That's great. That's great.
Unusual. Well, if I had had a class full of students like Oprah, I would have been floating on air.
So was I your favorite that year?
Oh, of course. But I couldn't let anybody know. I couldn't let anybody know. Absolutely.
Well, did you know that for the longest time I wanted to be a fourth grade teacher because of you?
I was not aware of inspiring anyone.
I think you did exactly what teachers are supposed to do. They create a spark for learning so that lives with you from then on. It's not just what happened in the fourth grade, but they create an excitement about learning. You made learning fun for me and made me curious about knowing. That's the reason I have a talk show today. Here she was, there on my stage. Not seen her since the fourth grade. Breakdown. But the breakdown, people wonder, why are you crying because of Mrs. Duncan? I was crying because of everything, because of every feeling I'd ever had about Mrs. Duncan, then in the fourth grade and since then in the fourth grade. So all of that came to one head in that one moment of introducing Mrs. Duncan.
Okay, well, that's Oprah for you, very popular personality, of course. And if you notice, she did not even mention really the subject Mrs. Duncan taught. She doesn't remember, maybe. But what she does remember is how Mrs. Duncan made her feel inside the classroom. And that is what is more important. So I have remaining 8 minutes for our session this afternoon. We will still continue tomorrow. So I want to start now. Second essential virtue, which is conscience. Okay. So number one, empathy is very important. Number two, conscience. Make it when the person does the right thing, even when no one is looking. Di ba sabi nila that's character. Choosing the right thing to do, even when no one is looking, that is real character. And that is conscience. Knowing the right and decent way to act and acting that way. Here are the 6 signs of crisis of conscience that we see in the world today. 6 signs. Number 1, rise of youth violence. Violence involving the young people. Sabi ng research sa US, a teenager in the US, by the time he turns 13, he would have witnessed 18,000 murders from Netflix, from movies, from video games especially. So no wonder you can also have a rise of youth violence if the young people are subjected to so much violence. Increase in peer cruelty is a clear sign that there is a crisis in conscience. Number 3, rise in youth stealing. Number 4, escalation of youth cheating. Number 5, increase in sexual promiscuity. And number 6, rise in substance abuse. These are clear signs na may mali sa konsyensya ng maraming kabataan ngayon. Pwede na nating idagdag technological addiction. Okay? These are the what contribute to the crisis in conscience. Well, here are signs of a person having conscience. Kanina tiningnan natin the signs of a person having empathy. Here are what people with a conscience say. I know how to act right. If a person says that, uy, may konsyensya yan. You should put that back. It is not yours. May konsyensya yan. I only watch TV shows that my parents permit. Very nice. Even if the parents are not there, they will do the right thing. Conscience. Let's do something else. This is not right. You can count on me. Or when a person says, I'm sorry, it was my fault. You see, admission of guilt, admission of one's mistake is a sign na may konsyensya pa yung bata. You should tell the truth. That's conscience. I do my own work because copying is cheating. Now, here are what people with conscience do. They act the way they know is right. They do not steal, cheat, or lie because they know it's wrong. Not because no one is watching or not because the teacher is watching, but simply because they know it's the wrong thing to do, so they don't. They obey their parents even when they are not watching. They are not swayed by others and do what they know is right. They can be trusted to do what they are told. They admit when they are wrong and they obey the rules because it's the right thing to do. Sabi ng research, with the advent of social media, productivity worldwide was affected. O nga naman, kasi may mga, you can have an employee in the office. Pag hindi nakatingin si boss, ay nagpe-Facebook, nag-Instagram. Buti na lang hindi nagti-TikTok o kaya ay nagse-surf, doing things that they are not supposed. Tapos pag biglang dumaan ang boss, uy, biglang nakabukas ang Excel, ang Word, ang PowerPoint. Ayan. So, kulang ng konsyensya. I mean, it's a sign that there is a problem with conscience. Well, like what I did earlier, I want to encourage you to do this test for your child or for your student. Do they have conscience? The numbers corresponding still to the same, 5 always, 4 frequently, 3 sometimes, etc. And then the descriptions there. Okay, so here are the 3 steps we will take to build a stronger conscience. Step number 1, create the context for moral growth. Okay. Step 2, teach virtues to strengthen the conscience and guide behavior. And then step 3, use moral discipline to help your student learn right from wrong. Those are the 3 steps. Like what we did earlier, we will go over each one of them one by one. And then under each, we're going to recommend some strategies. The time now in my watch is 2 minutes before 4:45. And I promised that, well, I'm going to end at 4:45 so that we can address some questions that will be asked. And if there are more questions that I will not be able to tackle, then I will start tomorrow's session addressing those questions. Yes. So in my last 2 minutes, as I go over some more slides, please feel free to forward your question to Miss Sarah, perhaps, and then we will address them after 2 more minutes of my presentation. So let's just go over this, creating the context for moral growth. Here are 6 practices that promote development of stronger conscience. Number 1, we're back to, I told you, babalik at babalik tayo rito, there is no other better way to teach character than through the example of our life. Show them with your example what it means to have conscience, what it means to be doing the right thing even when no one is looking. Number 2, Develop a close, mutually respectful relationship. Then you're promoting development of stronger conscience. Number three, share your moral beliefs. I mean, let them know. Halimbawa, may kilala tayong mga teachers, ganyan. Very sensitive sila sa matters of cheating. And they let the students know that, class, for me, one of the things I cannot accept is cheating. Okay? So, don't make me catch you. And worse, don't turn me into like a security guard looking for people who are cheating. That's sharing your moral beliefs. And the student should know that you value very much honesty, integrity, uprightness. Number four, expect and demand moral behaviors at all times. Use moral reasoning and questioning. And number six, explain your own moral behavior. When we do that, we are helping the young people develop conscience. Well, to end, some examination for us. Tomorrow, I'm going to start by still tackling a few things about conscience. We only are in the first step, remember. But here are some good examinations. Um, Examination of our conscience. Are we walking our moral talk? Things to think about. Tumawag ang boss mo. Tapos sinabihan mo ang anak mo, sabihin mo wala ako. Ayan. That's not conscience. That's not forming the conscience. That's in fact deforming the conscience of young people. O kaya, your child misses school because she oversleeps. And then, gagawa ka ng excuse letter na bibigay niya sa teacher niya na may sakit siya. Tinuruan mo pang magsinungaling ang anak mo. So, that's not walking the moral talk. Or, you drive faster than the speed limit with your child as a passenger. Anyway, wala namang police. Anyway, wala namang manghuhuli. Anyway, walang nakatingin. You do the majority of your child's work on a school project, pero pangalan niya ang nakalagay doon. But much of the work, ikaw ang gumawa. That's not developing conscience. And then finally, you buy a ticket for a child under 12, even though your child is 14, is 15, or 13 na pero mukhang maliit naman kaya discount ang habol natin. Well, these are just some things to think about if we are to be models of conscience, if we are to be sensitive to the young people developing conscience. Okay, well, my time is 4:47. Sorry, I went 2 minutes over time in what I previously agreed with our organizers. Miss Sarah, maybe we can open the floor for questions that we can address. As I said, no problem if we are not able to cover all now because we still have a session tomorrow and we will continue on with the 7 essential virtues. Sarah? Naka-mute.
Okay. All right, I'm back. Sir, two question lang naman po.
Okay. Yeah.
Number one is from Ma'am Olivia Celeste Villapuerte. Sir Rintoy, oftentimes, a teacher's strictness is perceived by the student as having high moral standard. Anything you can add on to this?
Well,
siguro po, it's more of her sharing as a teacher of the strictness at times is perceived by the student as having a high moral standard.
Yeah. You know, I learned that in a hard way. I have to admit, when I was a younger teacher, I thought the louder your shout, the stronger your words, the more disciplined the boy or the student will become. And I thought it was a clear way of showing them how high my standards are. But one is the generation of young people today is very different. Okay,
Yes, sir.
um,
True.
they will actually just be full of resentments. And more than that,
Yeah.
as a class advisor for many years of grade 5 when I was in Southridge and then later on in other schools in Bannister, in Northfield, in UANP, I realized kindness is more powerful than discipline. You can be more effective as an educator, especially as a teacher of character, when you resort to kindness, respect, um, than so-called high standards of discipline that you are that you terrify your students, that the students
Yeah.
are afraid of being in your classroom. I would prefer a classroom that is noisy because the students are excited to be there than a classroom na
Yeah.
napakatahimik. So quiet, parang sementeryo, parang patay lahat. And they
Opo.
don't dare make a
Yes po.
single noise because they are afraid of you. Greater learning can happen in a classroom where the students are happy to be there and are excited to be there and look up to the teacher with a lot of respect, not fear, not terrorized.
Yeah.
So,
That's
teachers,
true, sir.
there are many ways of showing them how high our standards of morality is,
Standards.
standards of morality are,
Yeah.
other than terrifying them, shouting, screaming. One of the things I always talk about in my classroom management 3-hour course is precisely about that. We have to get rid of the shouting, the screaming, the yelling. It just doesn't work. There are many other ways of getting the students to do what you want them to do without ever having to resort to terrifying and terrorizing. I hope I answered
Yes
your
po.
question.
Yes po. And meron din po siyang additional and
Mhm.
another parang follow-up.
Okay.
Addiction to gadgets.
Yes.
This is on addiction to gadgets.
Yep.
Addiction to
Of the
gadgets
teacher
will
or of
be
the student?
exacerbated. Baka both na to, sir.
Both. Okay.
Addiction to gadget will be exacerbated with the onset of online learning now.
Yes.
How does the teacher helps prevent this? Because students are glued to their gadgets longer because
Mm.
now even classes are online.
Yeah.
Pero
Um,
parang,
but the
yes, sir.
online classes are not an excuse for the child, for the student, or even for a college student to be permanently glued to the gadgets. Part of the training they should be given is one is you have to teach them digital detoxification. It's a
Mm,
30-minute presentation I usually
talks.
give to parents, teaching the young people and ourselves also, because sometimes we adults also need a bit of digital detoxification of, for example, turning off the notifications. I mean, Facebook should not be the one telling you, uy, nag-post ang kaibigan mo ng picture, punta ka ng Facebook. Ni-like ng kaibigan mo ang picture mo, punta ka sa Facebook. That's what notification does. It appears there telling you when to go to Facebook. Facebook should not be the one to command you. You determine when you will go, when you will check your social media. So that too is part of digital detoxification. Or on a weekend, for example, to devote a certain number of hours turning off the gadget. I mean, really not even going to online because maybe there's no need, maybe because really sometimes we do need a bit of break from technology for our sanity. So parents among you, um, you should have rules about the use of gadgets, even if sasabihin nila, ay, requirements sa school. Or, okay, kung may online class sila
Yes.
at that time, perfect, no problem. But that is not a blank check that they have, that therefore now they can be online even at 2 a.m., which most likely the
Mhm.
teacher is asleep and there is no class going on. Um, so that's why I say sometimes no is the most loving word. No is the most loving word that parents can give their children. It's not a bad word to say no. No internet today because anyway, no class, or you're done with the assignment. And then what I always encourage the parents to do, put the computer in a public place in the house. A grade 5 boy with his own tablet and internet connection inside his room, and he can lock it. It's like allowing him to invite visitors to come in without your permission, including rapists and criminals.
Yeah, true.
I
True.
mean, you parents, good parents, don't allow your friend, your son, your daughter to invite over a rapist. No, I mean, you wouldn't allow that. But you
Yeah.
give him his own gadget with his own internet connection in his bedroom, and he can be inviting friends over at 2 a.m. without your knowledge. That is not right. It's good for you to still have clear house rules about the use of the gadgets, about schedule of the use of the gadgets, and put them in common rooms, in the living room, in the kitchen, or along the hallway. Na when they go online, everybody knows that they are really doing serious work. And if they complain about, if your son, your daughter complains about that, no may be the most loving word you are giving them at that moment. You're not being a bad parent by saying no.
Okay.
So there, I hope
Yes, po.
it's tough. I have to admit it's a bigger challenge given the situation we have right now, but it's not impossible. And
True.
parents, kayo
Yes,
ang
true.
nagbabayad ng kuryente at ng internet. You have the right. You have the right to make rules about the use of the gadget, the internet, and electricity.
That's true. Sir, one last
Yes.
for this afternoon session.
Mm-mm.
From Noel Soler
Yes.
Quizon, I
Mhm.
encourage my student to be critical thinkers by
Mhm.
telling them that we can always agree to disagree.
Mhm.
Do you think it's imperative for character formation?
To agree to disagree. Part
Yeah. Do
of,
you think?
yeah,
Mhm.
it is part of character formation because it is the seventh essential virtue, tolerance. We're going to get into that tomorrow. Um, and
Yes, yes, tomorrow.
tolerance means being able to agree or to disagree and be able to
To
express
disagree.
that in the proper way, in a way that a man of character, a woman of character would. Um, there. And part of tolerance is being able to respect viewpoints of other people, uh, especially if those viewpoints are merely opinions, they're not dogmas. And everyone has a right to his own opinion, especially regarding
Oh,
politics,
yes.
especially regarding preferences of fashion and things like that, no? Syempre, iba na yung pag-uusapan natin pag ang topic is morality. There are objective things
Morality.
that are
Yes,
good
true.
or that are bad. Pero kung ang pinag-uusapan naman is sinong iboboto mo, we have to be tolerant of that. We have to be respectful of um, viewpoints of other people. And that is the seventh essential virtue that we will talk about tomorrow. Tolerance.
So it's a good parang question parang to end this afternoon. But before we end po, this is not yet goodbye because tomorrow meron pa po tayong part 2. Part 2 of the series. So sir, I will be calling Sir Ilag.
Okay.
To share with us 1 or 2 takeaways from what you have shared to us this afternoon on building moral intelligence. So, Sir Ilag, if you're ready. Sir Ilag, naka-mute po kayo, sir. Pa-unmute po ng... Sir.
Sorry.
Sir, you may start now. Sir Ilag? Sir Ilag, magandang hapon po. Is your audio okay? I'm not hearing anything from you po. Sir? So for today's takeaway, we have Dr. Maximo de Chavez Ilag from the School of Arts and Sciences. Sir Ilag, Yan. Thank you, sir. Paki-unmute, sir. You don't have an audio, sir.
Sarah, is Dr. Ilag around?
Yes po, but he is having some technical thing on his audio. Video, I can see him, pero po I cannot hear him yet. Sir? Sir Ilag, can you hear us? Hi. Sir, we can hear you, sir. Okay, Sir Ilag. I think Sir Marco is suggesting that we do your takeaway. So takeaway today and takeaway for tomorrow. Tomorrow na lang po, Sir Ilag. I think you're having some technical concern with your audio. So as per the advice of our president, best that you can do it tomorrow po, and we'll check on your audio. Video is okay, audio is not. So tomorrow na lang po ang ating takeaway. So this is not yet a goodbye because we will have our part 2. So for building moral intelligence, character is a destiny. Character can be a matter of life and death. Stability of our lives depends upon our character. So much na nai-share sa atin ni Sir Rentoy. So tomorrow po ipagpapatuloy natin ang ating part 2 of building moral intelligence. So I would like to
11.
thank po 92 participants. Sir Ilag, tomorrow na lang po tayo. So Sir Intoy, tomorrow na lang po yung takeaway. Kasi may part 2 pa naman ni Sir Ilag. We're having some technicals on his audio. So before I end, I'd like to thank po 92 participants joining inside our Zoom room. And we have po around 47 sa ating FB live. So all in all, we have po 147 joining who are able to join us this afternoon. So thank you. We'll see you all tomorrow, 10 sharp to 11:30 p.m. Okay?
See you.
See you tomorrow. Sir Ilag, tomorrow tayo. Marami ka na for tomorrow.